going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition. I'm Mike, and if you're brand new to the channel, please feel free to hit that subscribe button so I can see you again next time. But if you're coming back to the channel and you're not already subscribed, please feel free to hit that red subscribe button. It takes about a second or two. I'd really appreciate it, and it really helps support the channel. And today I'm talking about a brand new movie that's just released here in the UK called Space Jam: A New Legacy. Now, the movie itself is directed by Malcolm D. Lee. This film, Space Jam: A New Legacy, kind of has a lot to live up to, because if you remember in the year 1996, especially at the time I was 6 years old, Space Jam came out, which starred Michael Jordan, and I'm a big fan of that movie. It certainly kind of inspired me in my kind of childhood and teenage years, and certainly a movie that kind of was a great rewatchability factor, and it also starred great people like Wayne Knight and Bill Murray. That certainly makes up that movie and certainly helped it along, and certainly became such a kind of memorable classic, especially involving the Looney Tunes, which also kind of got them their own film, Looney Tunes Back in Action, which I believe starred Brendan Fraser. So Space Jam: A New Legacy, I was kind of mixed when I heard about this film, and I'm sure a lot of other people were as well, because this movie stars the biggest star in the current basketball sport, LeBron James. Now, LeBron James, I'm not really too familiar with, and I'm not an avid basketball watcher, so I can't really comment on that, but I do know that kind of that name alone, everyone's heard at least of LeBron James. It also stars Don Cheadle as well, and we also get kind of like a celebrity cameo towards the end, which I'm not going to spoil for you guys. I'm going to keep this very mildly spoiler-free. There might be odd little things I touch on, but nothing that's going to give away anything too big in this movie. And essentially, the plot of it is about this kind of AI world, which is ran by the algorithm, which is Don Cheadle. And essentially LeBron James and his son Dom, in the real world, they get sucked into this kind of digital world, and Don Cheadle says, look, LeBron, I'm going to challenge you to a basketball game. If you win, you and your son goes free. If not, you're going to be stuck in this digital age forever. The legacy that the 96 movie created, and everyone loves and bemoans that movie. So how does this one fare up? Well, firstly, let's get into my positives. Firstly, I really like kind of the digital world that they created. It was certainly something new, and certainly a different kind of aspect towards the original that didn't really have. Because in the original, we get Michael Jordan, who is himself throughout the entire movie, along with the Looney Tunes. Now, in this one, LeBron James is animated into that Looney Tunes style, which I think works really well for the film. The animation kind of world Toontown is explored a lot more compared to the original one, which I actually really respected. I like that they went in a different style and it wasn't kind of like a copy and paste movie. And of course, this digital kind of AI world, I think it suits it really well. Now for me, I would say the standout in this, firstly, LeBron James is great. Now, when you have a sport athlete transitioning into the world of acting, it doesn't always go great. It's certainly a very hit and miss one. I think Michael Jordan was kind of one of the biggest ones to kind of bring that into live action and did it very well. His character was very memorable, and I think LeBron James, for what he's given, actually executed really well. I actually really liked his performance in this, but I think the standout for me was Don Cheadle. Now, the reason I say that is because Don Cheadle is mainly known as kind of War Machine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I don't think he really gets a chance to kind of show that he can be a villain. They kind of give him like a free realm to explore that side of him, and I think for most part, he executed pretty well with what he's given, of course, because the script is a little bit lackluster, but we're just going to get that into a second. And one of the biggest other praises I can give is this movie certainly calls back to a lot of Space Jam references in the past, and especially kind of like the Goon Squad, and the subtle hints that we get of like the old kind of music that features in the first soundtrack. I like those little quote references that they give, and kind of like little Easter eggs throughout, because there's certainly plenty of them, because this one isn't like a direct sequel nor prequel. Now, the negatives certainly kind of outweigh the positives, unfortunately, because firstly, if you take the soundtrack of the original Space Jam movie, it's so memorable. You could actually listen to that full soundtrack on a repeat, like Fly Like an Eagle, Basketball Jones. So many great hits in that original soundtrack. In this one, there's not a single soundtrack song in this that's memorable or I want to revisit. Some of the CG green screen shots is pretty poor, especially as this is a 2021 movie, and it certainly had that kind of big budget where they could have definitely done this better. I definitely think they could have done with a kind of gloss once or twice over. And the biggest gripe that I've got, which I think a lot of people are going to have a big gripe with, which I guess I don't help with my t-shirt being the Mystery Machine, is the fact that Warner Brothers absolutely smother the IP all over this movie. Now, what I mean by that, without kind of giving away too many spoilers, is a basketball game at the end, and it is in the trailer. Like the Iron Giants there, King Kong, Batman, and so many other big properties of Warner Brothers. Now, don't get me wrong, that's cool to see, and that definitely fits in more seeing a movie like Ready Player One, which is kind of about those kind of game worlds. But Warner Brothers, for whatever reason, showed all the properties that they have, and I kind of felt as if they kind of were taken away from the Space Jam legacy and that kind of franchise that it could have created, but instead was kind of saying like, oh, go out and watch Harry Potter, or go watch Batman, go watch Game of Thrones, kind of to support the other licenses that it has, and it just felt like a little bit of a cop-out. I just felt with this kind of IP property slapped on, and the product placement in this movie is just ridiculous. But just the product placement in that IP is really distracting, and especially the basketball game really took me out of it. And it kind of just took the characters from the original movies, kind of put them in the audience, and it didn't really feel like they were in place whatsoever. So overall, would I recommend you going out to the cinema to see this or watch it on HBO Max? I think for the most part, it's a good enough watch. I wasn't bored throughout this movie. I was actually really entertained, and especially kind of the payoff that they have towards the end of the stories involving the Looney Tunes. I was actually really invested in that, and they actually made you really care about the Bugs Bunny character. My overall score for Space Jam: A New Legacy is... So yeah, I really hope that you really enjoyed this review. Please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. And also, if you've checked out Space Jam: A New Legacy, leave your comments below and let me know what you thought of this movie. I do want to let you guys know very quickly that very soon I am going to have a name change here on my YouTube channel. I am going to make a separate video to discuss that as well and explain why. But until that time, the next time you see me, this has been the Z Review, and I'll be seeing you later.